There's something I need to talk to you about. Could you sign this? Huh? Wait a minute. What's going on? What does it mean? It means I want a divorce. You are no longer of any use to me. I couldn't understand what he meant by no longer of any use. What does that mean? And bringing a divorce paper. What is he thinking? You want to divorce me? I don't understand. What happened? Did I do something wrong? It's not that you did something wrong, but you've become a nuisance. Actually, I've got someone else pregnant. What? I was too shocked to say anything. I wasn't pregnant. We had been trying for a child since getting married, but maybe due to my condition, we hadn't been blessed with children. I wasn't particularly eager for children, and with work at the company, I hadn't been too concerned. Could it be that my husband has had children with the other woman? I'm not pregnant, though. Like a menopausal hag like you could get pregnant? You can't have children, don't earn much. You have no appeal as a woman. And you're only good as a maid for a few more years. I've decided to remarry a young, fresh woman, so you're no longer needed. Smirking, he said this to me. I couldn't tell what he was thinking or feeling. But the only thing I was sure of was that he's a lost cause. So, you've been cheating, huh? You are the worst. Don't you have anything to say for betraying me? I've been taking care of a charmless woman like you all this time. Why should I be the one to apologize? You should be thanking me for looking after you for years. I cannot remain silent after being told something so terrible. Moreover, there was one fact I hadn't told my husband yet that could turn the tables. When I calmly informed my husband of this particular fact. My name is Catherine, and I'm currently running a company. This company was managed by my father, but I took over as president when his health declined. I believe Catherine can continue to manage things well. Please do your best. Don't worry about the company, leave it to me. You should focus on your health, Dad. I had never run a company before, but after graduating from university, I started working at a small venture company, gaining experience in management along the way. With that experience, I thought I understood what was important in running a company. Though it was tough at first, with the help of the senior staff, I managed to keep the business going. Ms. Catherine. You've been working non-stop lately, are you okay? You need to rest occasionally, for both your mental and physical health. No. If I, the top, don't work, who will follow? Besides, I've always been physically strong, so don't worry. I was working from morning till night, every day. To the point that my employees worried about me, and I was exhausted. But more than that, I felt a responsibility as the president, not to ruin what my father had built. Also, being young, if I acted like a lord, no one would follow me. That's why I worked harder and continued to make more efforts than anyone else. The company continued to grow, and our annual sales kept increasing. I was receiving a modest salary, but I made sure to give back to my employees. So the atmosphere within the company was good. With the business running smoothly, I was able to find some time for my personal life. And as I was reaching the age where I needed to think about marriage, I started looking for a partner. Among the men I met there was one who was incredibly kind to me. I had a great time today. Shall we go out for dinner again next week? Of course. I'm free next weekend, so let's keep in touch. Got it. Take care on your way home. Although he wasn't exactly my type, I understood the difference between a couple and a married couple, as many of my friends were married. By this age, I knew how to choose a life partner. He wasn't my type, but I believed him to be trustworthy and thought we could build a good marriage together. We started dating, and about half a year later, we got married. It wasn't a romantic marriage, and we were both not that young. But we thought we would live a happy married life in our own way. There was something I hadn't yet told my husband about running the company. I had mentioned that I inherited a company from my father, but I said it had an annual revenue of about 1 million, and that I earned less than the average salaried worker. I didn't intend to hide the financial details. I just thought that money wasn't so important in an equal marriage life. Therefore, I didn't talk about the exact amounts. The company actually made close to 200 million in annual sales. But since I only took a slightly higher salary than an average salaried worker, I didn't consider myself wealthy. My husband was busy with work now, and I thought I'd talk about the company again once things settled down. However, one day, half a year into our marriage, "Hey, where were you last night?" "Huh? Last night? I heard from a friend who works at a nightclub that you were there. What were you doing?" I confronted my husband as soon as he got back from work, but it was true. A high school friend of mine, who now works as a bouncer at a nightclub, contacted me saying that my husband was there with a few young men. It's not that going to a nightclub immediately means cheating. And I understand that some company socializing is unavoidable. However, it's not something to feel good about. According to my friend, the husband brought his juniors with him. It would be understandable if he was brought there by his seniors or bosses. But bringing juniors meant he took the initiative. Why would a married man do such a thing? I had those feelings. And you brought the juniors. Why would you do that? Didn't you think about how I would feel? I have to let the juniors relax a bit, right? Besides, if I get promoted, they'll be my subordinates. So I have to build a good relationship with them. But that doesn't mean you have to go to a nightclub. I think going to a pub would be just fine. What? Are you jealous? We're both old enough, don't be jealous over such things. Smirking, he spoke to me in a mocking tone. Jealousy. Indeed, I felt jealous. It might be shameful at our age, but if that's shameful, then it's also strange not to consider the feelings of others and act accordingly. It's not fair that only I am blamed. Don't you consider my feelings at all? I don't like it, so you could at least stop. It's not like it's a big deal, right? We're going to be married for many more years. So if you can't forgive a little womanizing, we won't last. He spoke as if he was entirely in the right. Does he truly believe he's done nothing wrong? Despite me saying I'm uncomfortable, he only insists on his perspective. This isn't a discussion, it's a one-way street, and I thought it pointless to continue. So I went back to my room for the day. I hadn't felt this during our dating period, but maybe this is his true character. My husband always prioritizes himself, indifferent to how his actions affect others. That seems to be his mindset. After that realization, my view of my husband changed. Observing his words and actions in daily life, his selfishness stood out. Welcome home. Dinner is ready.
Ah,
I've already eaten, so no worries there. Is the bath ready? I'd like it with rose bath salts today. Can you prepare that? Again? If you're going to eat out, you should let me know. That way, I won't wait for you and I'll just prepare my own meal. I've also filled the bath, so heat it up yourself. You're making a fuss over nothing. And is it with rose bath salts? No, but I won't refill it just for that, it's a waste of water. I'm in the mood for roses, so nothing else will do. I was speechless before my husband, who spoke as if what he said was the norm. However, considering his self-centered nature, it wasn't strange. He pays for major expenses like rent and the car, while I cover utilities and groceries. Because it's not his money, he casually asks to refill the bath. If he considered our finances or me, he wouldn't say such things. I've told him multiple times to let me know if he wants something specific for the bath. But my husband, who finds a simple message too bothersome, complains afterward. My patience was wearing thin. Despite repeated discussions, he never improved, pushing my frustration to its peak. If I let it go, his words and actions will only escalate. I felt it was time to speak up firmly for the sake of our marriage. Look, I've been thinking, you're being too selfish. Sending a simple message isn't hard work, and could you please consider me a bit more? I pay for the water bills, so stop wasting it. We're not swimming in money, you know? Are you serious with that? Yes, I'm serious. That's why I'm upset. Can't you understand my feelings? Don't mess with me. How dare you, a wife, defy her husband? He slammed the table forcefully. My heart raced, and I was lost for words. The irritation and anger I felt towards him vanished, leaving only fear. It was the first time I truly saw this side of him, and it was frightening. I feared that challenging him further might lead to physical harm. At that moment, my resolve to confront him about his behavior vanished, replaced by the determination not to anger him further. Getting cocky for a wife, huh? Stop messing around. You should understand your place before you speak. There's no reason for a woman to defy a man. I understand. I'm sorry for making you angry. Don't make me angry again, okay? I only ask one thing of you, consider your place and act accordingly. After saying that, he went to his room. Fearing further anger, I immediately went to refill the bath, adding the requested rose bath salts. By then, the thought of wasting money on refilling the bath was the least of my concerns. All I could think about was how to avoid angering him further. Since then, my perception of and feelings towards my husband have drastically changed. Instead of focusing on maintaining a good marital relationship, I shifted towards managing his moods. I agreed to whatever he said and never voiced my minor complaints. There was no longer equality in our relationship. Far from the image of a happy marriage, I was afraid to witness my husband's true nature again. It had become a significant trauma for me, leading to a life where I was constantly careful not to anger him. One day, the situation escalated. I need to talk to you. Could you sign this? Huh? Wait a minute. What's going on? What does it mean? It means I want a divorce. You are no longer of any use to me. I couldn't understand what he meant by no longer of any use. What does that mean? And bringing a divorce paper. What is he thinking? Since that day, I had always complied with his demands. If he wanted to eat something, even if I had already prepared dinner, I would make it again and never complained about his whims. Thus, it had seemed like he had almost stopped being angry with me. What could he possibly be dissatisfied with? However, becoming emotional might trigger another outburst from him. With this fear in mind, I carefully chose my words so as not to provoke him. You want a divorce from me? I don't understand. What happened? Did I do something wrong? It's not that you did something wrong, but you've become a nuisance. Actually, I've got someone else pregnant. What? I was too shocked to speak. I wasn't pregnant. We had been trying to have a child since getting married. But perhaps due to my condition, we hadn't been successful. I wasn't particularly eager for children, given my focus on the company. Could it be that my husband has had children with the other woman? I'm not pregnant, though. Like a menopausal hag like you could get pregnant? You can't have children, don't earn much. You have no appeal as a woman. And you're only good as a maid for a few more years. I've decided to remarry a young, fresh woman, so you're no longer needed. Smirking, he said this to me. I couldn't tell what he was thinking or feeling. But the only thing I was sure of was that he's a lost cause. Did he not have a human heart? I wanted to confront him about whether he felt any guilt for his actions. Or if he thought he could do anything to me without consequence. I could hardly understand his feelings and didn't even want to. In hindsight, I was financially independent and didn't need to depend on him. But if I divorce him here, I don't know if I can remarry someone in the future. I wasn't confident in my looks, and at my age, remarrying would be difficult. That's why I had chosen the stability of the moment. So, you've been cheating, huh? You are the worst. Aren't you going to apologize for betraying me? I've been taking care of a charmless woman like you all this time. Why should I be the one to apologize? You should be thanking me for taking care of you for years. Thanking you, for what? I've been the one paying for our living expenses. And I don't think I've done anything to deserve complaints. Your attitude of not supporting your man is the problem. You don't understand your place at all. After he expressed his desire for a divorce, I no longer felt the need to tiptoe around him. I began to voice all my thoughts. It was clear how terrible his character was. Whether he looked down on just me or all women was unclear. What did he think he was? If he thought he was that important, he was sorely mistaken. Well, that's fine. I have no intention of continuing this marriage with someone like you. I'll sign the divorce papers and leave immediately. That would be helpful. Oh, a bit too late for that. He was smirking at his phone before saying that to me. I didn't understand what he meant. Shortly after, the intercom rang. I wondered who it could be, considering my husband usually had me answer it. But this time, he went to answer it himself. Perhaps it was someone he knew. The moment that thought crossed my mind. A high-pitched female voice could be heard from the entrance. Could it be my husband's mistress? By the time I considered this, she had already made her way into the living room. Wearing a miniskirt and sleeveless top, fully made up, was a blonde young woman. There was no doubt she was my husband's mistress, but why bring her home? It was outright disrespectful. We weren't even divorced yet, and there was no reason for her to meet me. I was incensed but managed to keep my anger in check. Nice to meet you. I've only seen photos, but you really are an old lady. That was the first thing she said upon seeing me. A woman without a shred of dignity. That was my first impression. Naturally, being my husband's mistress meant I wouldn't have a good impression of her. But her mere presence evoked a visceral disgust. Well, she was a perfect match for a husband who continually looked down on me and betrayed me. I felt sorry for the child that was going to be brought into this world. To be raised by two individuals devoid of parental qualifications. All I hoped was that the child wouldn't lead a tragic life. That was the extent of my concern. So, what brings you here? You didn't need to come while I was still here. I just wanted to see the face of the loser whose husband I stole. But it looks like you never stood a chance anyway. What must she think of other people? Expecting anything from someone so devoid of class was futile. Moreover, I recognized the keychain on the mistress's bag. So, no apologies? For stealing someone's husband and offering no apology is quite outrageous, don't you think? Keep your whining to a minimum, will you? Why would I apologize? The world is a place where the strong prevail over the weak. It's your fault for being taken from. Don't blame your lack of appeal on me. All right. Then don't blame me when your actions, deemed to lack integrity, cost you your job. Huh? What are you talking about? Are you trying to threaten? It's disgraceful, stop it. Who's really being disgraceful here? I wanted to retort strongly, but responding to every little thing was a waste of time. I wanted to say what needed to be said and get out of there. Staying any longer in the company of these two traitors was the worst feeling. That keychain on your bag, it's the company mascot, right? It's quite a well-known corporation. Do you work there by any chance? Yes, that's right. Unlike you, I'm a successful person. I've achieved economic success, and my looks are on par with a model. There's not a single aspect in which you could beat me. Then that's too bad. You didn't realize you were talking to the president of the company you're employed at. What? Her expression changed instantly when I said that. I hadn't expected one of my own employees to be my husband's mistress. But the world is indeed small. I was surprised too, but yes, you're an employee at my company. I don't intend to bring personal issues into company management or harass you. But I don't think someone who steals others' husbands has a place in our company. Wait a minute. That's a lie, right? There's no way someone like you could be the president of such a large company. It's true. If you don't believe me, why don't you ask one of the department heads? After saying this, the mistress immediately contacted someone. Probably to verify if I was indeed the company's president. Her face turned ashen as she realized the truth, and she began to prostrate herself before me. I hadn't expected her to turn on a dime like that. But did she really think a simple act of prostration would erase all her actions? If so, she's grossly underestimated the situation. Society isn't so lenient that a mere apology can absolve one's actions. Especially not when you've wrecked a home and ruined a life. A single act of kneeling can't possibly make amends for that. I'm sorry. It wasn't like I had bad intentions. You knew he was married, yet you engaged in an affair, didn't you? And now you say you had no bad intentions? Do you really think that excuse holds any water? I just got carried away. And I'm a victim here too. That's right. Despite taking precautions, he removed them. And I ended up with an unwanted pregnancy. Please help me. At her words, my husband's face changed, probably lying. Given his prior assertion that she was possessed by some momentary folly. Moreover, she had desperately tried to assert her superiority over me. After all that, now claiming victimhood is wrong. Not that I'm siding with my husband, but this seems too much even for him. Likely, this is her true character showing. Wait a minute. Don't lie about me tampering with contraception. You were the one constantly saying you wanted to have my baby. That's not true. Why would I want a baby with a married man? So, you portray yourself as the victim to seek sympathy? You suck. Shut up. I wish they wouldn't air such an ugly quarrel before me. Seeing two betrayers turn against each other, unaware of how I might feel, is appalling. Aren't they embarrassed? Exposing themselves like this. It's hard to see them as anything but devoid of pride. Perhaps they're driven to a corner, but they're mistaken if they think this ends here. I don't plan on aiding either of them, and they will both face the consequences of their actions. Well, whatever. I'll be demanding a fair settlement from both of you. You should learn what it means to have an affair while married and pay the price for it. Wait a sec. You don't need such petty cash, do you? Excuse me? What are you talking about? I mean, she works for a huge company, right? We need to talk about this. You're the boss of that place, aren't you? Yes, I am. Our annual revenue is around 330 million, I suppose. But working there isn't about the money for me. And being the president doesn't mean I won't claim damages. No matter how much money one has, as a member of society, one must take responsibility for their actions. They have hurt me and stolen my precious time, something that can never be returned. They should better understand why laws exist. I don't care if your baby will cost you, I'll demand what's due. And if you can't pay, we'll go to court. I'm that serious, so don't underestimate me. Please wait. Don't say that. I'll do anything, even kneel. I'm truly sorry. I deeply regret my actions. Regret and kneeling now change nothing. What I seek isn't an apology or your prostration. You do understand my words, right? But instead of making excuses, why not talk to friends or family about helping you pay the damages you can't afford? As I said this, she broke down crying. Though it seemed like I was cast as the villain, I hadn't done anything wrong. Demanding compensation for being cheated on is a natural right. This has nothing to do with me being a company president, it's about basic human decency. Watching her crumble, I gathered my things and decided to return to my parents' home for the time being. Ignoring all subsequent attempts at contact from my husband and his mistress, I decided to leave everything in the hands of my lawyer. A month later, the divorce was finalized, and I successfully claimed a substantial amount in damages from both of them. Demanding a lump sum payment was a given. I couldn't trust people capable of betrayal to stick to a payment plan. As a result, my ex-husband nearly drained his savings, now reportedly penniless. The young mistress, lacking sufficient funds, resorted to begging her parents to cover the payment. Furthermore, a common acquaintance shared that the pair did not end up remarrying, but separated instead. Likely, her attempt to play the victim in front of me played a part in their split. Even my ex-husband probably didn't want to remarry someone who would betray others at the drop of a hat. It's ironic, considering the betrayal I experienced at their hands. Yet neither seemed a suitable match for the other. Regardless of their relationship status, my ex-husband is now obligated to pay child support. Whether he will fulfill this responsibility remains to be seen. Both are set for a difficult life ahead. Not just financially, but also in terms of employment and personal relations. The repercussions of their actions will only magnify over time, making them realize the gravity of their decisions. Any future apologies or regrets will be too late. I guess people who can't judge right from wrong and can only be loyal to their immediate desires end up living a life like my ex-husband and his mistress, facing consequences they hadn't anticipated. Meanwhile, I continue to manage my company successfully, enjoying my days. I have no plans for remarriage or dating at the moment, choosing instead to cherish my own time. There's a wide array of personalities in the world. Yet what my ex-husband and his mistress did goes beyond mere personality differences. I have no intention of repeating their mistakes, and plan to be more selective about my associations moving forward. Life is too precious to waste any moment of it.